Today we are again down in my shed, and this time we are going to look at this. This is my Sanyo MBC-18, I think the full name of this is. It's actually MBC-18NB 6H, and this is made by Sanyo Electric, and one of the first dealers that I had an agreement with due to other connections. It was the Ødegård company in Norway that was the importer of Sanyo. So my first personally owned computer was actually a Sanyo model that was quite older than this one. And this machine is equipped with a modem, and this is kind of special because the modem is grey against the black case. Maybe this computer also was made in grey, I don't know. And on this side you also have the DC input, and this is quite the special plug. It actually has 9 pins in this, and it's on-off rocker switch and nothing else on this side. And on the back we do have a VGA output, we have a serial and a parallel port. There's nothing more underneath that flip. It was a bit hard to get stuck in there. And on this side you have a floppy disk, and this is a 1.44 megabyte drive, and you have contrast and brightness knobs for the display here, and you have a reset button in front here, and here you have a carrying handle, and that's not something that was normally on computers this late in the area, and this is actually a rubber and spring, so it's quite sturdy, and it's a good mechanism really. And on this side we are missing the lock for the lid, but it's present on this side. That's it really for the outside of this machine. It's one more thing. We have this, how is this mechanism? It's like so, and it slides out like so. And this is the battery, and it's a nickel cadmium battery. It's external, so it's probably didn't damage anything inside if it went bad. And it states that this is 12 volt and 1700 milliamps, and it's made in Japan. And here it was revealed that we have another compartment, and that is for the internal clock battery and clock and CMOS battery, and this needs to go at some point, but as for now it looks that it has not leaked. But it's a nice feature to have this accessible from the outside. And I do not own the power supply for this machine. This machine, I'm not sure how I get hold of it, but I think it was as a part of a deal on Finn, where I also bought some other stuff. I've never tested this machine because I don't own the power supply. We do have a way of powering up these machines anyway, because these nickel cadmium batteries, they really just stupid connected batteries. There is no electronics inside. So this battery provides 12 volt to these terminals here, and on this battery they was actually marked. So this is the plus and this is the minus terminal, and if we go and put it like this, we have the plus terminal will be this one. So this will be plus and this will be minus. Then we might be able to inject power into this. There are some, we have to find some way of maybe connecting a wire or something. I have a bit of a wire here. Maybe just try to if I have this. It's spring loaded like that, so if I just try to maybe over doing this, if I just stick it like so, and I will have a connection there for this lead. If I can find another piece of wire for the next terminal, I do have some wire here. This is also copper wire, so it should make a good enough connection. Yeah, just stick it like that. I think that will be... this one was a bit loose. That was not a good connection. Yes, approximately something like that. And I do have my bench top power supply here. This is my Chinese El Cheapo thing that I use this module and just put it on an old TV set-top box. And I will turn it on and adjust it to, yeah, it stands on 12 volt from a previous test, so, and it stands on 1.8 ampere, so I think we are good to go. Connect this here, and the other lead is the yellow one, like so. And yeah, I will try to turn off the overhead lights to see if we can get some contrast on this screen to make the camera see anything. And now for the moment of truth. Oh, first I have to turn on the output here. Now it's delivering 12 volt. This time it's about the Sanyo MBC-18NB notebook. And Sanyo was one of the pioneers in the PC clones back in the day, and in Norway they was represented by H. Ødegaard. And my first computer was a Sanyo MBC-18LT2, which was a much older model than this. And they also sold to a couple of OEMs, not Ødegaard but Sanyo. And their first attempts on making PC clones was only semi-successful, as they was less compatible than many of the other brands. And they started out with kind of a quirky start with this NBC 550 that it almost looked like something that you would have in a hi-fi rack back in the 80s. The whole design of these units reeks hi-fi from the front to the back of the case. And Sanyo is also noticed as having the first color portable. The Compaq, of course, had the first portable PC clone, but this beast here is actually Sanyo's attempt to make a clone that had a color screen. And this time around they started to get more compatible, so it was a better deal than many. The 18NB was manufactured by Sanyo. Sanyo was the original manufacturer of these PCs, but they also offered their design and production facilities up to OEMs. And one of the more famous ones that used the Sanyo line of computers as their own brand is Commodore. And if you see the top of these machines, you can see the similarities, they're quite clear. The machines had the outer shell was different when they manufactured this for Commodore. There was more siblings and twins than these, and one search online found that in one review in the PC Magazine in August 1991, they actually reviewed 4 computers that all was the same design. But this was the slightly earlier version of this computer than our notebook, because this is the 16 MHz variant. The difference is that the 16 MHz variant had also a slightly smaller disk, as far as I know. And our machine is a 386SX on 20 MHz. It has 1 MB of RAM, and it was delivered with MS-DOS 3.3 on a 60 MB hard drive. And there is one built-in 1.44 MB floppy drive. It's a normal black and white VGA. Nothing special about that, nothing better or worse than the competition. The battery life in the battery test was, it was between 2.2 and 3.2 hours depending on use. The weight of this machine is about 3 kilos without the power supply and the built-in 2400 baud modem. And the machine was launched in 1991. And here is a review for a long-term durability test that was run in PC Magazine, and they said that this machine was both portable and it was reliable and had high performance. The pinout of the PSU, this machine has a slightly special pinout, and I found this information online, and this is from the Commodore version. They actually have mapped out all the pins, but to get the machine to run, it's actually enough to supply 16 volt in this and ground on these pins. And service manuals and Sanyo is a sad thing. I have not even found pages from a service manual. There are a lot of information online, and this is probably most due to that the machine also was branded as Commodore, and there is a lot of enthusiasts that has made fixes to them. And they have changed capacitors, they have made a guide to renew the floppy drives and also the backlight of the screen. So there is a lot of information out there, but most of that comes from the Commodore sibling of this computer. Okay, it spins to life. It's light in the power and the screen turns on. I don't have anything in the way of contrast here. Okay. I have a very weak picture on this monitor, but there has to be something wrong with this because the backlight is too strong, I think. So the contrast knob and regulation is probably not good, and I do see that this actually now got weaker than it was at the start, so it might be this control, but I can just barely read it. F2 to run the setup. Hard drive 1 disk failed initiation. And here you have some settings. You have some hard drive with DosCember and the drive size. I don't know what drive is in this machine, so I'm not sure what to choose. BIOS shadow, BIOS, CPU speed, beat volume, parallel port. Okay, here is backlight, normal, half. If I try backlight, modem power off, coprocessor not installed, F10 to save settings and exit, is barely readable. Yeah, I think he's trying to access the hard drive, and the hard drive is just making knocking sounds. This is a 386 at least, it's a 386 BIOS and it's 20 MHz. I do suppose that this is a 386 SX, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, it still states that the hard drive is bad. If I try to configure this maybe as no drive and try to boot from a floppy, not sure if that's possible. Not installed, yes. Okay, FT, save settings. Then I can try with a floppy disk of this. It still tries to spin the hard drive. Maybe it needs a reset, maybe when you just test F10 that it doesn't reset enough. Yeah, invalid configuration. F1 to continue. Now it's light in the floppy disk boot failure. Can't manage to read the disk. I will try with another disk. This disk contains DOS. Cannot load file, press any key to retry. I don't think this computer is entirely stable, but there might be possible to make this computer workable if we fix this read failure. I will try the other floppy again. No, F1 to retry boot. Disk boot failed. So the floppy drive is not reading disk, so that as far as we got in testing this one. It's kind of sorry. I do enjoy Sanyo equipment from back in the day. I do had some Sanyo equipment, as my father was working on these boats that got to Japan, and Sanyo was one of the more common brands to shop and take with you home back in the day. But I do think that it's possible to fix the issues with this computer. At least the basics is working. And we do have to do something about the contrast. Maybe it's just the potentiometer that's gone, I'm not sure. But both the contrast and the light on this have some issue. And I do think that the first time I tested this, before I started to take the knobs now, I do think the picture was better, but it might be my imagination. So, hope you enjoyed the content. Please hit subscribe if you want to be notified when we post the next video in this series, and do like and comment if you enjoy the content we make on this channel. Hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.